Hey, I'm back, everyone.
Alex!
Yeah.
Alex, the mustard. The mustard didn't kill you.
Oh, I'm still alive. It took, it was a brutal
Took like a week and a half.
and a half of intense. I'd rather not get into it with you.
Yeah, we saw a lot of Lynbrook surgeons running in carrying the massive stomach pump.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it. If you want to hear more about it, you can just look on my Instagram. I posted like a whole story there.
Yeah, it got really graphic.
Yeah, it got insane, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's going on? Where's Adam?
Episode? You see the episode that we're recording on?
Yeah, no, of course.
Okay,
it was playing in the hospital on repeat just by coincidence.
Yeah. Good.
But seriously, where's Adam?
Okay, so unfortunately, the Lynbrook Parliament actually passed a new law that just went into effect. See, the problem.
Well, what's the law?
Well, the problem is that the new law says that there are a maximum of 3 white guys allowed on a podcast at any given time.
No.
So.
We have a white guy coming on tonight.
Yeah, we have the guest. We have the white guest that's coming on in a second. It sounds like we're hyping him up because he's white, and I want to emphasize that he's a good guest and he's white. He's not a good guest because he's white.
Mike, who are you talking to? It's just you and me in this room.
I know, but I feel the need to clarify that to the air.
Thank you. Okay, air. Yeah. No.
Yeah. But yeah. So as a result, Adam decided to step out. We drew straws, and he had to step out, which actually works great because the LPD, the Lynbrook Police Department, did not take kindly to Billy Joel driving through another skyscraper.
They let him off with a warning the first time.
Yep. This is like the 3rd time that it's happened.
Wait,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
What was the second time?
The first time was when he crashed through the Barone Zone. The first time we had to relocate to the Stallone Zone.
Oh, right.
Then he crashed through the Stallone Zone, and then at the end of last episode, he crashed through the Barone Zone again.
Oh my
goodness! So listen, Billy Joel's Long Island royalty, but there's only so much you can get away with. So it actually works out well because Adam's on his way to bail Billy out, and so that's where he'll be during this.
Must be all that hot podcast revenue money going into that.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're all recorded, I'll just ring the buzzer and let Schneider begin walking up the 99 floors to the top of the penthouse.
Is he already here?
Yeah, he's at the bottom. So we got another like half hour before he gets to the top.
Oh, we should have given him the elevator code. I guess it's too late now.
Too late now, yeah.
The elevator only is on the first floor, and then on here, the 100th floor.
Yeah, it doesn't stop anywhere
of the Barone Zone, and then it's stairs for our would-be butler, who isn't here yet.
No, he's not. All right, so we can just kick back and relax and let him go. Let's play the theme song in the middle. Yeah, I got some new mustard.
I'm going to pass this time, but I would like to listen to this theme song, preferably on repeat until Schneider gets up here.
All right, play the theme. Welcome back, everybody. This is Everybody Loves Raymond. Thank you so much for joining us today. We actually have a guest today. We'll jump right into it. As you already know, Adam is unfortunately not here today due to, the aforementioned legal restrictions about having more than 3 white men on a podcast at any one given time.
It was just passed in Lynbrook.
It was just passed. We can't do it. So, as a result, I would like to introduce our guest today. He is a improviser, comedian, I think author, and and general intellectual, Joseph Schneider. Thank you for joining us today, Schneider.
I've never written a book in my life.
You've never written a book? I feel like you look like the kind of guy that's written several.
Guys,
so
this is why we take 10 seconds before we hit the record button.
Yeah.
And figure shit out. By the way, I'm Alex Shear, and this is Michael Dormer.
Yes, thank you guys so much for...
He's not used to introducing the podcast.
I am not. Adam has done every single one so far. It's a hard job. I give him credit.
Thank you for coming on, Schneider. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So Schneider, again, thanks so much for coming on. We're here to review Season 1, Episode 13 of Everybody Loves Raymond. But before we get there, I have just one question for you.
Hit me.
How'd you meet Ray?
How did Ray come into your life?
How did Ray reveal himself to you?
Well, you see, it was actually by way of his brother.
Oh, yeah?
Who introduced us? Yeah. He was my arresting officer on multiple occasions.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you've been arrested by Robert Barone.
Yes. Just getting into your general fuck shit of all sorts out on Long Island. And, there's only so many cops. And so much fuck shit.
We can confirm, as we look down from the Barone Zone, we do actually see a swarm of police officers just...
At least one of those is Robert Barone.
Gotcha, yeah.
He is ready.
He's ready at all times. Thank you for telling us about that. How did you experience Ray Romano, though? That's what we want to know. Are you familiar with it? Did you watch Everybody Loves Raymond before we begged you to watch it and come on this show, or is this an entirely new experience for you?
Okay, so I'm definitely more familiar with the show than your everyday regular bear. Than your average bear.
Yeah,
that was the word I was looking for. Average was the word I was looking for.
Than your average bear. Yeah, bears watch a lot.
Yeah, it was just one of those shows. I don't know. I didn't have the sense that I was definitely not in the target demo of Everybody Loves Raymond when I was a small child flipping through whatever channels we had on cable. And it was just always on because it was in syndication. And I was just I caught a lot of that as a child. I caught a lot of Yes Dear, Cheers, Frasier. And it's just not the target demo at all, but I was just they're on all the time. They must be good.
Okay, all right.
So I definitely watched a fair deal of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, we've talked about it in a lot of ways. You're actually one of our first guests, I think maybe our second, maybe our third, who has actually seen the show before the day they came on to this show.
Yeah, I think the only other one was Olivia, right? I think everyone else.
Everyone else has not watched Everybody Loves Raymond.
I think the general consensus before that was, oh yeah, Ray voiced the mammoth on Ice Age. I think that was
oh man,
I think that was the extent. So what was your takeaway? So how young are you talking when you say syndication? I'm assuming you mean how young? Because we're all younger individuals. It was coming out 96 through mid 2000s.
We were all kids.
Yeah. So, but how old do you think you were when you were watching the reruns?
My Everybody Loves Raymond heyday was I'd say probably middle school.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it was still a recent product, so there was still enough of viewer demand. It's not like nowadays when you see a bus for got a big old King of Queens banner across the side of it, and you're like, who's still asking? there was still people asking to see, Everybody Loves Raymond on Channel 13 every night. So yeah, middle school.
Okay, yeah. I that's fair. For reference, I watched it growing up. My parents were big ELR heads, and would watch it with us pretty frequently, and then change the channel as soon as sex came up.
So once every 5 minutes.
It's a horny show, but I think a lot of the references went over my head. It was more of when they specifically mentioned stuff. And then Alex,
but sad husband horny.
Yes,
it's a totally different kind of Everybody Loves Raymond is a very different kind of horny than Master of None. Those are two very differently horny shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Ray Romano portrays the sad, horny husband who doesn't get any very well.
That's the start of this episode.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, he doesn't waste much time. Yeah.
No. And as for me, I binged the whole thing in college when I kind of realized I didn't have to pretend anymore and just kind of be insane. So I watched all of Everybody Loves Raymond over the course of a couple weeks. Yeah.
Oh, so you guys want to know something delightful? Just recently, two of my roommates had finished a watch through of The Sopranos, and they're like, "Okay, so what do we watch now?" And the two of them, they're big into like dramatic shows. So they watched Breaking Bad together. They watched The Wire. They watched Sopranos. The show they did after that was Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah. Wow.
They did not get too deep into. I think it was just like we joked about it or something because I have Peacock because it's where WWE content is, and I think like my roommate Gabriel, they had seen Everybody Loves Raymond on Peacock and made a joke about like who is still watching Everybody Loves Raymond. So like it became their next show that they did. They only got like probably halfway into season 1 before they realized it was a bit, and they didn't actually want to watch through all of Everybody Loves Raymond together. It's
very close geographically to The Sopranos, but in every other sense.
So Everybody Loves Raymond has actually been like a recurring meme in my household recently.
And then a couple of your friends contacted you one day saying, "We're doing an Everybody Loves Raymond rewatch podcast. Want to come on?"
I think that the entirety of the young adult, I want to say like 18 to 30 demographic for Everybody Loves Raymond is either currently on this podcast or currently listening to this podcast.
Mike,
or my roommates.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think you might be right about that, Mike. I think we've already cornered the market.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of us, and thank you very much, listener. You're the best.
Earlier, before we started recording, we were talking kind of about like the divides in the Raymond factions that have occurred, and we warned Schneider that he may make some enemies by appearing on this podcast.
Oh yeah, I made the terrible mistake of using an F word earlier.
Oh no.
I'm sweating bullets because not only am I going to get some hate mail, but also I intended to like send this podcast to my mom.
Oh
man, if that one guy ever listened to our podcast after he wrote that comment, he would just be flabbergasted by how much we talk about him.
I mean, genuinely kind of, because I think immediately after discussing that, we instituted a cum counter for we're discussing how much Ray canonically gets laid, and I think we're at 2. I don't think we got very far.
Oh man.
But
so I was knowing that like that is a one particular segment of your audience.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so does that mean...
I think he's gone now, if we're being real. Like, he's quit. Yeah.
That is a potential segment of your audience. I was like, okay, so should I immediately say fuck as soon as I can, or should I really just hold that in till the end and just be like, fuck! Clearly I made my decision.
Yeah.
You know what? It's okay. You can still let out a big one at the end.
Yeah, we'll allow you to do the one final swear word in everybody in this podcast. So we promise you that. So okay, previously you had mentioned Raymond's brother, and
yes.
Don't get me wrong, I know that was a bit and that was a good one, but I do need to ask: is Brad Garrett a bigger character in your life? Because I know that like Ray Romano, Patricia Heaton, and Brad Garrett all went off in different directions after the conclusion of this podcast. Ray went Ice Age, Patricia went the middle. Brad Garrett did a bunch of different things.
Brad Garrett, I know him from Till Death, which I watched a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to hear him without his insane baritone voice.
Yep.
Wait, is that an affectation?
Yes.
That he does for?
That's a choice. Yeah.
He actually, like, his normal voice is just, it's a regular voice, and it's really it's just strange to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure I've seen him in other media.
Yeah.
It's just like not immediately.
Yeah,
he showed me a picture of him. I'm just like, oh yeah.
He was the pufferfish in Finding Nemo.
He was the pufferfish in Finding Nemo?
He was.
He was the pufferfish in Finding Nemo?
He was the pufferfish in Finding Nemo.
Holy crap, I did not realize that. Listen, the man's got range. What can you say?
He can Mike, if you listen to it, it's the same voice.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's Robert.
I guess I never really thought about ELR while watching Finding Nemo. That's
Well,
Please
interesting.
stop calling it that.
ELR, it cuts down on several syllables, Schneider.
Schneider, we're the only people in the world that call it ELR, but we do it unironically
we're
quickly.
gonna use that like that forever. Okay, so of the
It's too close to LRH.
what's LRH?
L. Ron Hubbard?
Oh. Can we do? We haven't done this in a while, but can we officially do a disavowal of L. Ron Hubbard? I think
that's. Sorry.
Wait, so you haven't disavowed L. Ron Hubbard in a long time, or you haven't done a disavowal?
We haven't done a disavow. I think this is the first time L. Ron Hubbard has come up.
That is,
I was gonna say, if you've explicitly disavowed L. Ron Hubbard on this podcast before,
we've disavowed a lot of people on this podcast.
We have, but we have not gotten to L. Ron Hubbard, so I think we're gonna officially give it down now.
Adam likes to bring up January 6th. I think every episode. And now we have brought it up in this episode as well.
We've hit the quota.
Which is my fault, not his.
Yeah.
For once.
all right. So L. Ron Hubbard is officially disavowed.
Yeah, he's. Listen,
Great.
L. Ron,
Good to hear.
stop sending us emails. You're not going to be a guest. All right.
I mean, we joke, but like in all sincerity, we started the disavowal thing because in an old sitcom like this, troublesome people will pop up from time to time.
Yeah.
And, we'll have to talk about their performances, but, we decided to start disavowing, people
Real
who
people.
come up in this show.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was the first time that happened?
Do you remember?
I mean, we definitely did it in the first episode because genuinely because I'm willing to bet that Cosby came up at some point, and that's probably why when we issued our first one. But I think the only character we've even lightly disavowed is Bernie.
Oh yeah, it's just his character that sucks.
Yeah.
The actor himself. I mean, as far as I know,
I have no idea.
Fine,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, Bernie
So
is.
I'm trying to remember who Bernie is. Bernie
Bernie doesn't.
Right?
Yeah, he doesn't make an appearance in this episode, but in previous episodes.
Yeah, no, but was he the friend that brought him to the Italian joint to get the spaghetti, so the Parmesan, because he's a
because
shithead
sexual
and should
harassment.
be disavowed. Yeah.
Yes, and we actually do
Yes.
get a Bernie reference in this episode, but we don't get to see Bernie's face. Yeah.
Yes, okay. So see, I do have a working knowledge of Everybody Loves Raymond outside
I'm kind
of
of impressed.
this episode.
More than basically anyone else on this podcast.
What other sitcoms did you enjoy besides Everybody Loves Raymond? Like, what was your favorite? If you had to rank your top, let's say 3.
Okay. Do animated sitcoms count?
I count them.
All right, yeah, sure.
Why not?
Now, are we talking about like me presently, or at the same time that I was consuming Everybody Loves Raymond? Those are
Why
very
not
different
both?
answers.
Let's
Okay.
start kid, then let's go now.
Okay, so I watched so much Hot in Cleveland as a youngin.
Wow.
Really?
Yes, yeah. It was just another one of those shows that was just on. I was like, "What's this?" And I was just like, and it wasn't so much that like I sought out like that good Betty White content. It was just that like it happened to be on at the time that I was like watching TV as a kid. Like it was what was on when I got like back from swim practice. Like that's what was on TV. Always, especially
because that's one of the lower tier Betty White shows. If you want Betty White, you go Golden Girls 10 times out of 10.
But the fact it was that like Hot in Cleveland was accessible and consistently so. So it was just
fair.
like and then the other one that was accessible and consistently so was Just Shoot Me, the David Spade sitcom.
I'm actually not familiar with that
Me
one.
neither.
Yeah, he it's David Spade, and forgive me for not remembering the names of his co-stars, but it's called Just Shoot Me because they work at like a photography studio in I think Manhattan.
Cool.
But yeah, so low tier stuff. But I watched a lot of Yes Dear, which I've already mentioned. Still Standing. And there's one other that I always think of as like a trio with those three, and I could picture the families in my head perfectly, but I can never remember all three of their names. It's Yes Dear, Still Standing, and it's going to occur to me halfway through the podcast, and I'm going to go,
Just yell it out.
Just
yell
bring it
out.
up.
Interrupt us.
We have a couple listeners who will just skip the first half hour and just get to the episode breakdown, and you're going to really confuse those people.
When you just scream out like Home Improvement in the middle of our discussion.
No, it wasn't Home Improvement, but I definitely did watch a good deal of Home Improvement as well.
Yeah,
but Tim Allen, we got to disavow him.
I mean, yeah. I feel like we probably touched on that before.
We have on multiple occasions already. But yes.
But okay, today.
I'm seeing him in my head. Today, I'm much more of an animated gent today. Bob's Burgers is great.
Hell yeah.
Good choice.
It's a great... I went and saw the movie with my dad and my brothers when I was home for my grandmother's wake recently. Like, the day before the wake, my dad was like, "You gotta go see the Bob's Burgers movies when you're home." I'm like, "Dad, I'm home because Grandma died." He was like, "Okay, that's on Saturday. We could go see the Bob's Burgers movie on Friday."
Wow, it sounds like you had a very interesting weekend.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
He didn't know it was a musical.
I didn't know it was a musical.
That caught him off guard.
No.
It's Lauren Bouchard, of course.
Yeah,
it's a musical.
I watched. I went to see it with my family as well because we all love Bob's Burgers, and what a delightful time. We didn't go to a wake after, and I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother.
Yeah, I think we should all say sorry about that. Sorry to hear for your loss, but
Yes.
Bob's Burgers was good.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Mike. It was awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've
The Great North, which it's the same animation team as Bob's Burgers, but different showrunner and team of writers. I do think there's some crossover.
Is Nick Offerman on that show?
Yes.
Okay, I've heard of it.
Nick
I haven't
Offerman,
watched it.
Jenny Slate, Will Forte,
Oh,
Aparna Nancherla. Her character is hilarious. So yeah, this is kind of what I'm working through right now. And then just like, I wouldn't even call them sitcoms, but I watch a lot of like children's media. I'm watching Amphibia right now.
okay.
I've heard that's great.
Yeah,
I've not started
it.
it.
Is. It's really good. It's from the same creative team that did Gravity Falls.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just like that. That's the stuff that I watch.
Okay.
Because you see, as a child, I was watching Hot in Cleveland and Frasier.
So now you got to go catch up.
Now we gotta.
So yeah, as a quasi-grown man, I now watch children's TV shows.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that we're finally getting back to your
My
roots.
roots?
Back to the roots.
And going right to Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay. So before we close we're going to take a commercial break and then we'll dive into the media. But before we do, don't go into too much detail. I just want to get general takeaway. Give me 3 adjectives about this episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Terry Bradshaw as an adjective.
Fair, okay, yeah.
I agree.
I do agree with Terry Bradshaw.
It's one word and it's an adjective.
Lower space.
Horny. We've established.
Very
Yes.
horny, okay.
And you know what? I'm going to say this one, and I'll explain later, but memorable.
Ooh,
Memorable.
okay.
Ooh.
I'll explain that one later.
There's an
All right.
explanation behind that. Now you have to stay tuned, listener. Ooh.
There we go. Okay.
That's what we call a cliffhanger right there.
All right.
That will be paid off in like a half hour.
Do you
awesome.
Do you want to do general takeaways and adjectives?
I mean, why not, Mike? You know, I was kind of off-put. I was intrigued, and I was flabbergasted.
Wow. Okay. All right. All right. And I will say it was shocking, a lot, and overall fine. And we'll break that down. We'll break that down more.
Those really kind of, you don't feel like those go together.
No, they don't. They don't. But that's the vibe I walked away with. All right, so stick around for these quick ad reads, and we will be right back breaking down season 1, episode 13 of Everybody Loves Raymond.
You didn't say the name of the episode.
What was it? Was it Sick Debra?
Actually, I'm not sure. What's the name of the episode, Schneider?
It's like our guest is unprepared.
Adam, put it in post.
Adam,
quickly. Adam, quickly.
Debra is sick.
We're still making him work even on his week off. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you in a minute.
Da-da. So it's me, Alex, from Everybody Loves Raymond. You know, the show that you're currently listening to. I've got a pitch for you, if you'll indulge me for a moment. Imagine you're living in your beautiful little home in suburban Long Island, and your nosy mother comes by and sneaks through all of your computer files, your inboxes, all that cool stuff that you don't want her to see. I know a certain someone that may have an issue like that. Too bad Raymond doesn't have 1Password. 1Password is the world's most loved password manager. It's the easiest way to store and use strong passwords, allowing you to log into sites and fill forms securely with a single click. Use it for your own passwords, protect everyone in your life with their family plan, or become one of the more than 100,000 businesses that trust 1Password to secure their businesses and protect their data. If Raymond had this, he could use all the passwords he wanted and keep them safe from certain prying eyes. Try it free for 14 days and support this show in the process by visiting 1Password through postfun.info/ads. That is postfun.info/ads. And when you get there, let them know that Raymond sent you. All right, okay. I'll give the little stinger for you, Mike.
Okay, do it.
Da-da.
Welcome back to Everybody Loves Raymond. Thank you guys so much for continuing to listen, and let's dive in to season 1, episode 13.
Well, but hey,
it's called Everybody Loves Raymond.
Before you do that, did you know that despite his legacy as one of the greats, Terry Bradshaw only ever threw for 300 yards in a game 7 times? For context, Drew Brees has done that 123 times.
Schneider's getting a little ahead of us and getting into the sports section a little early. Though
I said it was going to be the most inopportune moments.
Though I will say that is very surprising, actually.
Mike, first Olivia and now Schneider, everyone's gunning for your sports guy position.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it, if I'm being real here. But as Schneider touched base, we actually do have our first real guest star of the episode. We had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as a brief guest star in one of the cold opens previously,
That's right.
But this time we have a real guest star, Terry Bradshaw, quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s. Not sure till when. And I know he got drafted in 1970, but I'm not sure when he retired, and is considered one of the all-time greats in spite of his less than stellar passing career. I was a little surprised about that.
Interesting. Well, it's still too early. Let's talk about the real shit in this episode, and that is Raymond being a bumbling fool yet again.
Yeah, it's not a
horny
spoiler
bumbling
alert, but
fool.
It's not a great episode for Raymond. But let's dive into this scene by scene breakdown. So, our episode opens up with the cold open. We see Ray and Debra lying in bed. It's probably early morning. They mention the kids are not yet up, and it's quickly revealed that Debra is not feeling great, which Ray responds with, I believe, just, thinking that she's trying to just not have sex with him and he wants to have sex. And yeah, it's a weird opening as this begins, and it's revealed that Debra is actually not feeling well, and that Ray is actually going to have to take responsibility for the children this episode. That introduces the primary conflict going forward, and we start to see Ray being a little shit. What are you pulling up, Alex? You have a clip?
No.
Oh.
I thought you missed
just on your phone?
I know. Mike, I thought you missed something. Mm-hmm. So I was double checking you.
That's fair. Please
to make sure that was indeed the cold open, which it was.
Yeah.
So, all right, I want to ask you both this question. You're both. Let's hypothetically say you're both in, or one of you're in Raymond's situation where you wake up, you're a married person, your spouse is there in bed, and you have 3 kids, very young. Your partner says that they are sick, but you also know that today you have one of the biggest opportunities of your career so far, and will also allow you to make Terry Bradshaw and allow you to make a lot of money. But you have, your spouse can't take care of the kids today. What do you do in this situation? What's your strategy?
Do we get the Terry Bradshaw reveal in the cold open, or is that after the opening credits?
I think he's
He's mentioned, but he's not, like, if I'm not mistaken. But he doesn't show up.
Yeah,
I wish he was in bed with them.
just Terry Bradshaw under the covers, just like, no way.
I'm here. Let's do it right here.
Yeah, let's talk.
No, he brings up that he has an interview with him today as a chance to become his ghostwriter, I believe.
Yeah, I will say that, like, so I don't know when we're gonna do the sports guy stinger, but like Terry Bradshaw's a big fucking deal for a sports writer. This is like, it's kind of tossed aside in the midst of everything, which I kind of do understand things happen, but it's like, I get Ray being super stressed about this. Like, this could make or break his career.
So what do you do?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, this is how I would think of this, and maybe just call me too much of an optimist, but I would think that, generally speaking, people, like, understand that, like, life happens. So I'm thinking just, like, obviously he's only in town for a certain amount of time and he has a plane to catch and whatnot, but just, like, calling somebody up and being like, hey, look, like, he's expressed interest in Ray writing. He says, I like your column. So, like, obviously he's interested. Just like, look, my wife and my daughter and one of my sons are all sick. I have dad stuff to do today. I'm very sorry, but I'm on the road a lot. We can make this happen some other time. I think 99 times out of 100, you'd get a positive response from that.
You'd get let's reschedule.
I think you're right. And ideally, like, well, if Everybody Loves Raymond was happening today, I think a Zoom call would probably happen, if I'm being...
Then Ray would just have to take like a half hour out of his day, maybe when everyone else is sleeping, recovering, talk to him, and then get up. Obviously, that's,
But they have phones, like, you could call... He calls later in the episode.
Yeah, he does.
You could just do this on the phone.
Yeah, actually, at this point in the episode, that's actually a good point. At this point in the episode, I was thinking, wow, this must be really inconvenient because cell phones aren't really readily available at this point. And then he does call from the airport.
He calls their home number.
Yeah.
He had it memorized.
He does, yeah, because there's no internet to look it up. That's actually, oh man, that's a good point.
Or he had a phone book. Regardless,
just gave it to him at some point. Well, hold on, Mike. Let's. I know you tried to move on there with the regardless, but let's kind of peel this apart real quick. Did you just say there was no internet to look it up? Let's just think about that for a second. Do you think he could have just looked up this sports writer's home telephone number, even if he had access to a computer? Maybe his office, but like his bedside phone.
I mean, listen, you don't know how many times Ray has been doxxed.
Yeah,
okay? He's pissed people off.
Plus, there's Facebook, Instagram. They'd find it.
Yeah. Like, it's Terry Bradshaw we're talking about. He's got connections.
They'll find a way.
Man.
He just calls up Anonymous and is just like, listen, I'm looking for a guy. Make it happen.
Schneider, I think your strategy is probably the best way to do this, because I mean, look, if this was a different situation and I was in this exact scenario with like my family, my first like thought would be to call in the family and ask them to help. But since we know that Debra is very much, or Marie and Frank are a very touchy subject for Debra, especially when she's like on a normal day, that's a bad idea for Ray.
Yeah.
But I think in a more functional family, asking your, extended family members to help care for your sick ones on a day like today is a reasonable approach.
That is, you're right. And I do, exactly. I do think that, the thing that is that sure, it's possible that the Terry Bradshaw thing doesn't work out. It might be time sensitive. Maybe he has to move on anyway, which would suck, but Ray doesn't even try. He doesn't even dial Terry's number. He does, clearly, because...
Yeah, to get him to the doctor's office.
Yeah, again, spoiler alert, he goes to the kid's doctor's office, which I think is probably the worst thing you could have done. And well, I guess he could have just stood him up entirely.
It was all just to get him to sit on that giraffe.
Yeah, which was a very funny image.
I think at one point in the writers' room, they were all just sitting around. And they're like, "All right, we're about halfway through season 1 right now. We need something like a good zinger." And he's like, "What if we got Terry Bradshaw to sit on a tiny giraffe?" And the whole rest of the writers' room went, "How would that even make sense within the reality of this show?" And he went, "Watch me."
So in your mind, this entire episode was concocted specifically to get Terry Bradshaw on
I believe
giraffe.
it. I will sign on to that theory.
That was the first thing conceived of the episode, was we're going to get Terry Bradshaw to sit on a tiny giraffe. Now, we need to write a narrative around that.
All right, new meta theory. Terry Bradshaw was definitely roommates with one of the writers on this show, and like 20 years ago or like 30 years ago, the writer was like, "I bet I can get you to sit on a tiny toy giraffe," and Terry was like, "No way, I will never sit on a giraffe." And then he forgot about it, and then eventually he came on this show, did the script, thought nothing of it, and his lifelong friend won the bet.
Yeah, walked up to him, looked him dead in the eyes, said nothing but pointed at the giraffe. Terry didn't get it for a moment. He looks, his friend, the giraffe, his friend, the giraffe, then he realizes, no!
So, we've kind of bounced all around this episode. We've mentioned Terry Bradshaw a lot, even though the cold open really only mentions him once as kind of like an initiator of this conflict for this episode. But after this happens, Deborah's like, "Ray, shut up and make the kids breakfast." He leaves in a grumble, and we cut to black and we see our classic conveyor belt opening. Yeah, see.
Only so many episodes have that. When I saw this one did, I was like, delightful.
Yeah, we've been bouncing back and forth between two openings. This is my preference. I know Alex prefers the other one.
Yeah.
But the other one, so this is the conveyor belt opening where everyone's going across.
Together the playhouse, right?
Yeah, and it looks like someone came in with like a handheld camera and like pointed a gun at him and said, "Do this thing," because it's all shaky. He doesn't know what's happening. Yeah, exact. It just seems less organized. It seems like a lot to me. But
I will also mention quickly before we move on, in the cold open, I just want to talk with you guys kind of about how much of a dick Ray was being, because we kind of skipped over how he actually reacted. When he heard Debra was sick, like I'm pretty sure he was just like, "Oh no,
Told her to walk it off.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, and then just like also like not just tearing down Debra, but himself as well, because like when she said, "No, I'm not feeling well," he's like, "You normally don't say that until after."
Yeah.
And then when he was leaving, was that at some point he's getting up to leave? I think it was in the cold open, but I know in the cold open when he actually leaves the scene, he's carrying the kids and has Allie around his neck. But at some point he says something or other about like all this discussion we could have been done by now over the course of like a 32-second scene. So you're telling on yourself there. Right.
Yeah, just a bit.
It's like the Death Star mission. He's in, blasts, and he's out.
And I also will say that the thing that strikes me is he's complaining before he even remembers the Terry Bradshaw thing. Like, it's not like, "Oh shit, this can't happen today because I'm meeting Terry Bradshaw."
No, it was because Debra wouldn't be able to make him breakfast.
Exactly.
I think that was his first concern.
Yeah.
My wife can't cook for me and fuck me? Oh no, my day's ruined.
That's a great Ray Romano, by the way. You're crushing it.
I remember Ray does bring in the temperature gun thingy.
Yeah.
She puts it in her ear, and Ray actually had a funny line where he said, "Oh, that was my third guess."
Yeah.
Which I did think was a little clever line.
Yeah, it was. That was a good one. And she confirms, it's like 103 degrees.
103.
Yeah, she's got to...
confirms it later.
Yeah, she's got to relax for a bit. And then Ray leaves saying his horrible line about how quickly he finishes.
I don't
and we
think
get
that
the
was
opening.
at the very end of the cold open, though. Because the end of the cold
Allie,
open, he had Allie around his neck, and I do actually think that, like, the actress, the child actress who was playing that character, like, choked him a bit. Because it seemed a little too real when he was like, easy on the neck.
it did. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like
It kind of seems like he skips for a second and then realizes just like, oh, call her Allie. So it seems like it was in character. It's like, easy on the neck, Allie.
But yeah, that is how it leaves. He gathers up the children, leaves the room to go make them breakfast. We have our opening with all the people on the conveyor belt, and then we cut to
Ray being downstairs with Allie, laying on the couch, all sad and not feeling good.
Debra comes down and he says, I thought this was a very funny line, I swear I only gave her breakfast.
Oh, yeah. What did you do to her? I swear I only gave her breakfast.
Yeah, and it comes out that Allie is also sick. She is also running a fever.
And I think it was at this point, or right around here, after a couple more lines between Ray and Deb, that Marie barges in, and it is led to believe that Ray called her.
Yeah.
Between coming downstairs, I think probably Allie said, I'm not feeling good, and he probably, within 2 seconds, had the phone to his ear.
Yeah.
I actually think when Allie said she was sick, it collapsed time so that Ray had actually already called his phone.
Or maybe just Marie's omnipotent and she can understand.
Yeah, exactly. I think, because, Ray, we had previously mentioned that, all right, maybe it's stressful because you don't want to call the in-laws because of the tension, and Ray doesn't give a shit about that. We've had 13 episodes. This is the 13th episode where there has been, shit going wrong with Marie and Debra. Ray still hasn't learned his lesson. He still calls Marie over, and she runs in terrified for the well-being of her grandchildren.
Already with a lasagna cooked, apparently?
Was that a lasagna?
I mean, that's just what I assumed it was.
It probably
it's a good
was. On the betting wall, like lasagna is like only 2-1.
Yeah.
Like odds are it's a lasagna.
Yeah.
After that, there's this cute little like ongoing bit where Marie is great at taking people's temperature, and she leaves a mark on their heads with her lips, which I think is just so funny.
It was a very.
That's how she finds out that Jeffrey is sick, or Michael, one of the boys.
Michael's sick. Jeffrey's fine. Yes. Yeah.
But this is why I called it memorable earlier. See, there's the payoff.
There you go.
Because when I saw that, the bit where she goes to take Debra's temperature and like kisses her on the forehead and goes, 103, and Deb's like really impressed, I remembered that bit. I was like, that one stuck with me. Like, from the time when I was watching the show more actively, I distinctly remember that bit.
Well, there you go. We have talked a lot about how Doris Roberts really is the thing keeping this show going. Like, she's just such the comedic performance of the entire show. And I definitely think that shows throughout this episode as she's measuring, well, in a lot of different ways, but the
panicking grandma.
Yeah.
She's just really good.
It's just a great archetype.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So it is conspired. Is this when Frank enters, by the way?
No, Frank doesn't come in until like halfway through the episode.
Yeah,
that's
much
right.
later, when Debra's already back upstairs.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is decided throughout these things, because Ray's continually freaking out about Terry Bradshaw, and I think we've already discussed this is a genuine concern if he took any steps to fix it.
This is when he explains to Debra and Marie who Terry Bradshaw is. And Marie says that she's never heard of him.
Should we now do Sports Guy?
Well, yeah, now you should tell him. That was the appropriate time, so Mike's going to tell me, and then in 30 minutes, once we move past this, Schneider will drop another Terry Bradshaw fact.
There you go.
All right, how this works.
All right. Terry Bradshaw is a legendary quarterback, played his entire career for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, was drafted in 1970, led the Steelers to win the AFC Central many different times, famously winning the Steelers 4 Super Bowl championships. There are only 2. This might be on your fact list, Schneider. I might be stealing your thunder. I don't care. He is one of only 2. He was the first quarterback ever to lead any team to 4 Super Bowl championship wins, and he is only one of 2 Super Bowl champions to go undefeated in the Super Bowls throughout his entire career 4 separate times. The other one being Joe Montana. But I will say, so he's a fantastic quarterback. Most famous play is, of course, the 1972 Immaculate Reception, in which he was playing against the Oakland Raiders, and just a fantastic catch. Still one of the most controversial calls in all of football, too, by the way, because they didn't have instant replay back then. But he led the Steelers to win that game and then immediately get crushed in the next round by the Miami Dolphins. So yeah, that's Terry Bradshaw. He also has, by the way, I looked it up, 5 books written, all of them like best-selling books. He's a very successful. His ghostwriter is very rich, I will say. I understand why.
Which one is written by Ray Barone?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, they don't publish the ghostwriters' names. I think that defeats the purpose of the ghostwriter.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No.
But
I will
Michael
say there's.
Dormer, did you know
Oh yeah.
that Terry Bradshaw does not actually have any of his career highlight memorabilia because he donated 4 Super Bowl rings, all 4, his College Football Hall of Fame ring, his Pro Football Hall of Fame ring, his Pro Football Hall of Fame bust, all 4 replica Super Bowl trophies, as well as a game-worn jersey and helmet from one of his Super Bowl wins to Louisiana Tech, his alma mater.
I actually did not know that. That's a fascinating fact.
Schneider, did you know that Terry Bradshaw sat on a tiny giraffe?
Holy crap!
Man!
Blow my mind here. There. He also, by the way, he's still with us. He does commentate on football, like national football games every so often. He will occasionally, people will bring up, oh, Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time, and I always think it's funny because he snips back, oh yeah, well he lost in the Super Bowl. How good could he be? Because he never did. So yeah, he is one of the top 5, and I am absolutely freaking floored that they got him on season 1 of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Hey, you really be top 5 if you only threw 7 300-plus games.
I mean, the Hall of Fame would argue.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw, by the way, also released a few albums as a country music artist after he retired. I don't know if any of them were successful.
Between the years of 1976 and 1996, including his last album to date, Terry and Jake, featuring Grammy Award-winning Southern gospel singer Jake Hess.
Oh, good for him. Wow. That's awesome. Do you have any of the sales? Were any of them like successful? Did he go platinum? Double platinum?
Nope.
Meaning he wasn't successful?
No other information.
Oh, okay,
That's
cool.
it. That's all I've written on that one.
Awesome. Well, it's good to know that he didn't stop. So yeah, anyway, he's a powerhouse in American media. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Ray should try and meet him. So
yeah, this is a big deal. All this to say, Ray, the fact that he landed this interview to begin with is a miracle. Like, good on Ray. But yeah,
I have a question just because I'm curious. What we know, I'm just trying to think of like the outline of the day. What time do you think everyone woke up? Because Ray probably took the kids to the doctor probably like an hour after everyone was up and about. How early was this interview with Terry Bradshaw supposed to be?
Well, it was before flight. So, it's probably not like convenient interviewing time.
Right.
It's just like, hey, you gotta get here before my flight. Mm-hmm. Like, come to my hotel, my flight's in the morning, so.
Yeah. Could be that. It could also be, I mean, yeah, it could be that. I was thinking that it was probably around midday because we see him in the doctor's office and then he gets the call after the sun has gone down. Spoiler alert again. We hear from Terry Bradshaw again at the end of the episode. So I was thinking that, but now that you mention it, Alex, now that you mention it, Schneider, you might be right that it might be like just in the morning, I'm having this flight. I need to interview the ghostwriters.
Plus, I mean, like doctor's offices, like kids' doctor's offices, at least in my experience, are usually the most full in the morning, right? I say
Yeah.
that as if I currently go to children's doctor's offices. I do not. As a kid, I remember usually going there in the morning because, when you wake up is when you feel sick.
And also, if the doctor says, hey, he's not sick, you can send him right to school after, and you only miss the first couple periods.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. There's an impetus to get the child to the doctor as quickly as possible. So you can find out before the end of the school. It's a race between the child making it as hard as they can and the parent just trying to get them to the doctor's office to call them on their shit.
Yeah, you think Fast and the Furious is cool. I've never seen anyone more faster or more furious than a parent trying to get the kid to school.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself again. But on his way to the doctor's office, Robert had the lights and siren going.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely.
And we're not going to explain that until we get there.
No, we're not.
Nice little tease for the audience. What was Robert doing there?
But anyway, Ray responds and says, Terry Bradshaw is a big deal. And Marie responds with, and go to the doctor. And so he gathers up the 2 sick children. Marie says, I'm going to wait with Debra. And
Debra goes back to bed.
Jeffrey was the nice one? Or not the healed one?
It doesn't matter.
One of the boys.
One of the boys is being left behind. Ray gathers up the other one and Allie and books it to the doctor's office. And that's when we get the aforementioned awesome bit of Marie kissing Debra on the forehead and nailing her temperature immediately. That's where that slots in. And then is it a commercial break?
Yeah,
probably.
When it comes back, we're at the doctor's office.
That's right, yeah. So, okay, then we cut to the doctor's office. New set, everybody.
Brand new set. This does not happen a lot.
Adam keeps track of all of the sets that are used.
I just imagine like a little sound, which is like, new set, guys! Da, 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 da. Just like a running counter.
Does he have a new set sound?
Adam does not have a new set sound.
That's the new one. I think we're going to use Schneider's voice from now on. Going, da-da-da-da, new set.
Schneider, we will absolutely just clip that one sound you just made, and we'll use that every time there's a new set. Thank you.
So, I think he had another great line once he's in the doctor's office. His first interaction is with the woman next to him, who clearly does not have a baby. Just instead has an oversized, what do they call Baby Bjorn?
Yep.
Just like, and Ray just like is looking down into it. Clearly not a baby there. But he makes a comment about like the soft spot, and you got to push it in because if it pops back out, they've been tampered with.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a good joke.
That's a very good joke.
The lady did not appreciate it, but that was a good one.
That was a pretty solid
That lady she had a hard morning. She was not appreciative of Ray Romano humor that early in the morning.
But then that good joke immediately followed by terrible, unnecessarily gendered joke.
Oh yeah, because of the pink, obviously empty baby Bjorn that contains a boy baby. Yes,
and the earrings, and it's just like, oh, ha, the baby's actually a boy. Funny.
Yeah.
Come on, 90s.
Is not funny. Just with new, just kind of how we think now. It's just not funny.
Yeah,
I don't know if that one was ever gonna be like a hit.
No, that one didn't exactly. We've talked before about how this audience is definitely like on drugs or something because they go nuts at every joke. They didn't even react to this one, so I don't think it was.
I'm telling you, man, it's just
Everybody Loves Raymond definitely had a laugh track.
No, it was a live studio audience.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's going to make an observation I have for the end of the episode very interesting.
Oh, all right. Yeah, but yeah, so we get the gender joke, and Ray's being weirded out by the other parents in carrying a child in a pink Bjorn.
Literally, Ray,
earrings.
you were just the weird guy who was saying, "Oh, if you push the baby button and it pops back out," and you're looking at that guy like he's the weirdo.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have the appearance of the guest star of the episode. Terry Bradshaw himself walks into the doctor's office. I was genuinely surprised that it was actually Terry Bradshaw. I thought it was going to be an actor, but it was it was not. It was Terry himself. He is immediately weirded out by the fact, understandably, that this ghostwriter has asked him to meet in a pediatrician's office full of sick children, and also understandably immediately tries to say, yeah, maybe not. And Ray begs him several times to stay, and he just continually gets weirded out. But before he sprints out of there running, we get the arguably comedic moment of the 90s entirely, as Terry Bradshaw sits of the entire decade, as Terry Bradshaw, great quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, sits on the tiniest little stuffed giraffe, and it's quite delightful.
Let's give this to Terry Bradshaw, who granted is an entertainer. Like, he releases country music albums. He's now a sports broadcaster. So like he's got that entertainment bug. But he's not an actor. But great moment when he kind of old school kind of stage acting, act with your face to the back of the crowd kind of thing, where he sits down and realizes how ridiculous the giraffe is, and realizes it with his whole body. He's just gold moment. I was like, just great clown work there, Terry Bradshaw. That
you would think he was allergic to giraffes.
Yeah. Just on our list of great clowns, we've got Buster Keaton, Baskets, Terry Bradshaw. Those are
Terry Bradshaw. Yeah.
And then Pennywise.
We also do know that at some point Ray Romano, the actor, did have to have an acting coach hired to help him out a little bit. I wonder if it was Terry Bradshaw that they just brought on.
That's how he was. Well, why he was so willing to come on the show, because if his buddy from college had just called him up, just like, I want you to guest star on the show I'm writing, he'd be like, I'm not going to do that. That's so out of the blue. Why would I do that? But he already had the connection to the show, being Ray's acting coach. So it's just like, hey, would you mind just like doing a quick cameo? We think it'd be cool. Like, he's a sports writer. It all makes sense. Terry Bradshaw's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'm already in the studio all the time doing this acting coaching because I'm such a great clown. And this writer's sitting there, just wringing his fingers, just like, I'm going to sit on that fucking giraffe, Terry.
I will win. The fictional history of this show that we are crafting with each episode, combined with the real history of this show that we are also sharing, is just going to set historians back 50 years on this show.
Yeah. At some point, they're going to clash into each other, and it's going to be entirely irreconcilable.
What if we were 100% right, and it just by sheer coincidence does turn out that Phil Rosenthal and Terry Bradshaw shared a room back in the day, and this is just the humble beginnings of Everybody Loves Raymond? That would be awesome.
Did Rosenthal go to Louisiana Tech?
Almost certainly not. I will look it up later, but I also kind of don't want to. So
it's better to believe.
Yes. Before actually Terry rejected Giraffe, there was this fun moment of Ray classic businessman room type of thing where it's like, oh no, Terry, don't go here, take a seat, let's talk. And he pulls up, you don't even see what he pulls up at what you think is a chair and another one for himself, and then only kind of when we see the wide shot, we can tell oh, he did not pull up a chair, he pulled up a giraffe.
Well, here's my question though. My initial thought was oh, what are you doing giving Terry Bradshaw the giraffe? But then I was like, if you're trying to impress this guy and you are the one sitting on the giraffe, is that better or worse?
No, the giraffe, that's alpha shit, sitting on the giraffe.
There was a good moment where, I don't know if it was before or after the giraffe, I think it was before, but clearly somebody from the crew just threw a stuffed animal at Terry Bradshaw. That came from through the fourth wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, where that was coming from.
And it came from a high angle.
Yeah, it was definitely just some production assistant who was the greatest day of their career. It was just all right, yeah, you're not getting coffee today. We don't need you to go pick up the donuts and do some needless research for some reference that we're making on the show. You're gonna throw this tiny stuffed animal at Terry Bradshaw, and they were just I love my job.
I personally prefer the canon that there is just a massive 6-year-old child that we can't see just beyond our reach, that's just sees this guy and just Yeah, and throws the
like
throws
a giant
his toy.
6-year-old child standing in the corner. looking all
Exactly.
menacing.
That every doctor's office has.
I don't know which theory I like more.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we also get this. I thought this was a very funny moment where Ray is pitching his idea for the Terry Bradshaw book and gives the most generic.
It's a terrible
take
idea!
ever. Yeah, just like, we're gonna give people the answers that they want to know, and then the girl comes up and says, "Can I touch your head?" And I thought that was a very.
It was clearly
These
just
are
a
the
setup.
answers.
It was clearly just a setup for the little girl's line. But also,
Yeah.
like, that, my first thought was, like, you're a professional sports writer, and that's your big idea for this book. Just like, we're gonna, like, give the answers that the public has been wanting to know. It's like, that's such a vanilla thing to ask.
It's not a good take. I wouldn't buy any. I wouldn't buy the book if that's the
That's the pitch.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm Mr. Wonderful and count me out.
I'm letting it slide for Ray a little bit because he was clearly flustered.
Sure,
and he was just
Yeah.
working to keep Terry in the building because he was running out of there.
As I would too.
So I mean, hopefully Ray had a better pitch,
Yeah.
but
You would
we'll
think
never
that
know.
Under that kind of stress, you would start oversharing all of your good pitch ideas, not default to a terrible one.
You would think. Oh, maybe. Hear me out. Maybe Ray's not that good a writer.
I was gonna say, like, if we're talking about, like, how he is as a father and a husband and a dad, have you guys ever really wrestled with how he is as a sports writer?
Well, we always assumed he was pretty good because in later seasons he wins awards.
Yeah,
wins a lot of
and,
awards, yeah.
That award that sends him to cover the Iditarod.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to go cover a dog sled race in Alaska or something.
Yeah. Yeah, he becomes very decorated as a sports. So he's canonically very good.
And look, Terry Bradshaw likes his column, and
Yeah, wants him to write his book.
yeah.
he opened the door for Ray. Ray fucked this up himself.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah,
so maybe good sports writer, not good businessman.
that's possible.
And also just not good in conversation.
Yeah.
And that is proven
It's a general takeaway.
over the last 13 episodes that Ray does not act well, 1, under pressure, 2, at all in person without preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But then we also get this. Then the doctor comes out and calls in Allie and Michael. Terry Bradshaw leaves. Ray gives the line, "I'll have your people call my people call your people." And as he's walking to the doctor's office, I thought it got a chuckle out of me as he points and says, "Who am I kidding? This is my people." As he points to the baby as he walks into the doctor's room.
Which I thought that was good, yeah.
That was a cute joke.
You could definitely read that, or not say read it, because you could only really read it like one way, but you could have performed that in 2 ways. It could have been like sweet, just like, "Who am I kidding? These are my people." Or as Ray performed it, and it should be read as, "Who am I kidding? These are my," just like, my family.
My kids disgust me. Yeah.
These are my people. This is my life.
Yeah, it's like, Ray, you have a nice house, like 3 beautiful children, a wife that loves you, a caring family, a good job. Like, shut up! Your wife is great.
Speaking of the wife, we cut away from this moment to
Back to the bedroom.
Back to the bedroom. As I thought this was a cute little bit. Deborah's head is now peppered with kiss marks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
Do you think that they actually got Doris Roberts to kiss her on the head a bunch of
I
times?
hope so.
How else would you do it? Definitely, that's definitely what they did.
Yeah. And then we see this. We see Marie trying to take care of Debra. Debra's a kind of appreciative. It's almost a nice moment, and then Frank barges in, desperately trying to get this ketchup.
Where's the ketchup?
Where's his life is falling apart if he doesn't get this ketchup. And it results in a big fight between Frank and Marie, as Marie's starting to think, "Oh crap, is the reason these kids got sick a little bit because I gave them bad coats."
No, it was off Frank's recommendation, though, because she bought them from Frank's friend. That's why when Frank comes in, she blames him, just like, "It's your fault. They're sick."
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
why she.
why?
That's That's why she doubts the coats, because she has someone to pin it on who's not her.
And that actually came up before Frank barges in, because Debra...
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, Marie are having this like kind of quasi-nice moment. But then she asks just like, well, do you put coats on them? He's like, yes, Marie. No, we send them outside buck naked. He's like, of course we put coats on. He's like, well, what coats? It's like, the coats that you bought. That you gave them. She's like, oh, I bought bad coats, and that's why the kids are sick. And she starts like freaking out, and Deb's trying to get to the phone. But then, like, Marie, for some reason, goes and, like, moves the phone to something else.
There is no escape from Marie.
Yeah. But then it was like, oh, and then she was just like, I got those coats from Frank's friend. Like, he told me those paper coats are why my kids are sick, my grandkids are sick and dying. And then Frank comes in, like, ketchup! Like, this is your fault!
And we see this whole great back and forth as Frank doubles down on Leon. I will say, just says Leon's a good dude making all this crap up. No, Leo is the dead one.
Yeah, who's Leon?
Leo is the dead one. Leon is Frank's friend.
Oh, right.
The one that had the coats.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Frank
like,
comes in.
Good coats. They were good coats. Telling Debra to just walk it off and rub some dirt on it.
And
Marie's screaming about like how she needs some peace and quiet. Screaming, mind you, about
and
then
some great work from Patricia Heaton as she's just like falling apart, just like, this is my life,
and kind of like we understand as an audience, okay, this is why Ray should not have gotten the rest of his family involved. And then to cap out like this moment, the equivalent of in Shrek 2 when they're having the dinner scene and Donkey says "Donkey," is Robert running in and just yelling ketchup.
I was really
great. Go ahead.
It was awesome. I was really hoping that was Robert's only line this episode. I was desperately hoping that, but no, he has a couple other good ones.
But they do definitely, in both this moment and the later moment at the pediatrician's office, which is just exercise a lot of restraint by having Robert do so much by saying so little.
True.
Like, just having just that one little button of a word, just ketchup, and then ending the scene. Mwah.
Because it creates intrigue there in why they need the ketchup. Because, like, if it's just Frank, like, yeah, whatever, he's being Frank. But if Robert also needs the ketchup that badly, like, what happened? Was there a crime occur? Like, what needs? Why do you need ketchup, like, right now? And then eventually, of course, Debra tells Frank exactly where the ketchup is to get him out of there. And in Frank fashion, he's like, "That's all I needed." And he calmly walks away.
I will also ask.
Yeah,
I will also ask. Robert's not sick. Robert's not retired. It's the middle of the day. Why is Robert not at work?
Maybe he's the night shift.
Actually, that's true.
I don't know how
he's a cop.
Copping works.
Yeah, copping. Yeah, I don't know.
I
also don't know.
Hey! The sirens are getting louder.
They did not like that down there one bit, let me tell you.
So within the headcanon of your show is...
You mean what's happening right now?
Yeah. You mean in real life?
Yeah, what's the problem?
Is the podcast being like live streamed via PA down to the townsfolk?
Listen, the entire town of Lynbrook hears this podcast in real time. It is on speakers at the top of the skyscraper.
Is it like over the radio where they're like in their cars, or is it like an Immortan Joe situation from Mad Max where they're just all at the the base of the Barone Zone, these giant PAs?
That one. It's definitely that one.
We have Brad Garrett playing a fire guitar.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Is he in costume too?
Yeah, definitely.
The red gimp suit that they were wearing?
Yeah. He alternates between gimp suit and Robert costume. This is the gimp suit episode.
Right. Yeah. Watch Mad Max, everyone. It's great.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. But anyway, we cut back to the doctor's office and we see Ray falling apart as he desperately tries to, number one, admit that he doesn't know anything about his kids, and number two, convince the doctor that he's still a good dad, which doesn't really go that well.
Well, we can see he's not trying to convince the doctor, he's trying to convince himself.
True. Yeah.
The doctor's just there. He doesn't care.
Definitely set up earlier, because we kind of skated right by it, but when they were still at their house, and Debra was like, call whatever the doctor's name was, and Ray's like, and he's like, the kid's doctor, like the number's in the book, and he goes to walk like back up the stairs. She's like, in the kitchen, and then he turns back. She's like, in the drawer, and then he turns back again, by the refrigerator, and a kind of good little bit where he turns again, and she's just like, oh, you got nothing now, and then walks into the kitchen. But yeah, so this is definitely set up that Ray doesn't know jack about his kids before we even get to the doctor's office.
Yeah, exactly. And as the doctor examines the children, he says, yeah, I just need the parents here to restrain them, and starts asking questions like, are they sleeping through the night? What have they been eating? Things like that. Ray's just drawing a big fat blank.
Ray has no idea.
Yeah.
Keeps bringing up Debra. Like, Debra organizes the play day. It's Debra's normally one of those.
And then the doctor gives the line of, so you're a typical dad, which Ray doesn't take very kindly to. And that also triggered my thinking. So this actually brought me back to every Father's Day, or I don't know if it's still happening, but it used to happen. Jimmy Kimmel used to do this bit where he would go out onto the street and ask families passing by, ask specifically the dads, questions about the kids. Yeah. And invariably, the dads would know absolutely nothing.
No, obviously, like cherry-picked interviews.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but
100%. But I was always shocked. I was always shocked by the number of people that they even found that were like not able to tell the kids' birthdays.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're right, cherry picked, because I think that like I would hope most dads would be able to at least provide some shred of information about their offspring. Yeah. But yeah, it just kind of put me back in like, yeah, Ray would fit in with that bit, and I wonder,
it's almost like kind of depressing. Mm-hmm. That like just the whole typical dad.
This
thing.
is just accepted in society, and this is definitely.
But I mean, is it though? Because the show does, at least in that moment, push back a little bit because Ray feels bad about it.
That is a good point. This is a '96 show, and it's not like this is not the narrative that the show is telling us.
Yeah.
It's the narrative that Ray is being presented with and feels bad about, and that's an interesting point to bring up, Schneider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of justified. There's a little bit of apologia late, like at the end of the episode, but we'll get there.
It's exactly what I was actually going to bring up. The show kind of does a little hand waving and say, "Yeah, you make the dollars," but we'll, like you said, we'll break down that scene when we get there.
Also, quickly before we move on, I just wanted to finish the bit and say I can definitely see Ray on Kimmel being like asked like, "Oh, when's your daughter's birthday?" And he's like, it's definitely a Wednesday."
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, even the things that, because Ray's like, yeah, I'm the fun dad. On dad days, you get to watch the movies as many times as you want. Your favorite movie is The Little Mermaid. Beauty and the Beast.
All right, did it piss anyone else off when Ray said same thing? Because it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
I know you're a Disney nerd, so it probably pissed you off more than the rest of us. But
I'm not a Disney. Okay.
Yeah, you're a little bit. Yeah. But yes, I do Yeah, exactly.
One is a fish.
What is
a lion man?
And what is a fish? Come on, Ray.
Yeah.
You've watched the movies.
Yeah. You're clearly familiar with the source material.
Yeah. And so it turns out that Allie gets diagnosed with a touch of the flu, and he starts to examine the baby boy that Ray has brought in, and the doctor says, yeah, this one's not sick at all. And Ray's like, no, he was definitely sick at the house. He's just like, that child is perfectly healthy. I don't know what to do. And then we get, we referenced it earlier, but Robert kicking in the door with the other child, swapping them, giving Ray a look, and then leaving the way that he came.
So perfect.
It's
like,
great.
Not a single word is spoken, which was a wonderful decision. Even like the blocking of the scene and just like the scene structure, just to where like Ray is like in focus in the foreground, but you could still see the door over his shoulder, so they don't even need to like cut or anything. You just see like Robert burst into the scene from the background coming of. It's just a wonderfully shaped everything. Just art.
Mm-hmm. I gotta tell you, if there was ever a moment for Robert to wear sunglasses. Like, I could so see it clear, like, him wearing aviators, like, busting down that door.
The cops theme plays in the background.
Absolutely.
So, like, and the way that just, like, because he's such a large human, he could just, like, set this child on his brother and then just grab the other one and exit. Oh, man. That was gold.
It was fantastic.
I appreciated that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then Ray says, well, he gives some line of an excuse, but I forget what exactly it was. But essentially, we fade to black.
I don't think he gets the excuse until later when he says that even the doctor commented on how identical the kids were.
Then they all laugh at him.
Right, yeah.
Which is deserved.
Yeah, we get to the house. Everybody's mocking Ray for mixing up the babies, and he gives that line that Schneider just mentioned. And yeah, he deserves to be ruthlessly berated for that. Yeah. Were there any lines that stuck out to you guys, or should we move on to the next part?
I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about in this scene.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hey, did you guys know, Terry Bradshaw?
Oh, yeah? What about Terry Bradshaw? What about Terry Bradshaw?
Not his real name. His real name is Paul Terry.
I'm sorry, what? Where'd you get the Bradshaw from?
Well, like, you know, he has that entertainer itch. He's always been like a flair. It's literally a stage name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's Paul Terry.
What would your guys' stage names be?
That's a good question.
So see, this one's kind of interesting for me because my brother is a performing musician. That's how he makes his living. And like his stage name is Luke Sniper because he didn't want to use his legal name, Lucas Schneider, on stage because something about like he didn't want his signature and his autograph to be the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, I have a family member with a stage name. So, like, do I just... If Lucas Schneider becomes Luke Sniper, am I just Joe Sniper? Like, is that just what I have to use now?
I'm Joe. Joe who? Joe Sniper.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, I mean, I guess.
But if you want to be original, if you want to, like, establish your own name and not have the relation, that'd be a different thing.
Yeah. I think... less than like stage name, but like author name. Like, how would you like George R.R. Martin or like, you know?
If I ever publish like a horror novel or like kind of like a horror comedy novel, I would put my name as A.W. Shear.
That'd be a good one. Yeah, my stage name would probably be Mike Dormer.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Very creative as usual, Mike.
I think like on the publication side of things, I would definitely use my full legal name as I do even on the social media because I have terrible information security practice. My display name on all social media is Joseph Robert Schneider. Because initials just have a nice like flavor to them for like authors, so I would definitely get my confirmation name in there just as a little initial, just Joseph Robert C. Schneider.
That's a long one too. Those autographs would take a minute. All right. Anyway, I believe the last scene is in the bedroom where Debra's feeling better. Is that right?
Is this in the bedroom? I thought it was in the living room.
No, it's definitely up in the bedroom.
Right. And then we see Ray walk in with medicine vomit all over his shirt.
Did you think it was vomit?
Yeah, I thought the kids like spit it up.
No,
yeah,
it was
my read on it was that like he just couldn't get him to take it, so just spill it all.
Oh, I thought that like they took it and they were like no, and they spat it. That's what my read was.
That's a much more disgusting read.
Yeah, that's why I was a little grossed out that scene.
I think we are missing a scene here.
Oh yeah.
So the last scene is when Ray comes in and is like the medicine on his shirt, but there is a scene between that where the entire family is in the living room, and then Ray comes back with Allie and Michael.
We talked about that briefly. Yeah,
where Ray gets ridiculed by his whole family.
Yeah, he gets mocked, and he says, the doctor says they're super identical.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. I just blacked out there for a sec.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, Alex.
No, but I got distracted by stage names. Whoops. Yeah, I too thought that was weird green medicine on Ray's shirt.
Yeah, like what children's medicine is that color?
Like,
Consistency.
Kids medicine is colorful and fun. And clearly not organic, but like...
Speaking of children's medicine, cycling way back, but Marie had a good line when she first comes over and the kids are sick. And she was like, this is what's in those vitamin-shaped like cartoon characters or something like that. It just makes... It's wittier when she says it.
This is what happens when you eat vitamins shaped like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Referencing what I believe is the Flintstones gummies.
Of
Probably.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. I don't think the Flintstones gummies, because I would think the Flintstones like the chalky ones.
Oh, right. They do have the chalky ones, too.
I forgot about those.
I just, every time, like...
I think those are the OG.
I always
like-
associate the gummies, but yeah, I think
like,
you're right.
It's the gummies for me now, because I always see like the memes online where it's like when you're tripping on Flintstones gummies, and it's like the squirrel just kind of like laying in the park looking straight up.
Is there still much of a market for that? Like, what kid is just like, oh, I want to take the vitamins because they look like Betty.
Listen,
They're only known for their vitamins now.
I think they've moved on. I think they probably moved on to like SpongeBob or something like that.
My bad, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that too.
Are
Probably.
you telling me that I can't get Flintstones gummies?
Hang on.
Probably not.
This is
the 2022nd year of our Lord.
I'm telling you that. Yeah, I'm gonna double down on that.
This is too important. Let me check.
Adam, cut this out later.
No,
cut out the dead air. Cut out the dead air.
People need to know.
It's still on sale today. Woo! Amazon.com has a bunch of them.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm
not
shocked.
Kidding. Is it like resale?
Baby.
I can get one here by Friday.
God, do it.
Do it.
Get one in my house. I will send you my address. I want a case, not a bottle, a case.
Maybe we
Schneider,
send one to.
You realize that. I will, but Adam definitely will send you a full friggin' case of these things.
Oh, he has my address. What were you saying, Alex?
Well, I was saying we we have 6 bottles coming to the Barone Zone by Friday, so we'll forward one to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Listeners, we're doing a special giveaway.
You will get 1 Flintstone gummy in the mail. Not a bottle, just one gummy.
Which one of us will carve away from Fred Flintstone into the shape of one of the main characters of Everybody Loves Raymond.
And we'll sign the back.
We'll sign
our
back.
author names.
Our author names, yeah, exactly.
Just imagining, like, people do rice art and stuff. Like, chalky Flintstone gummy art, where all he does is he carves, like, Bam Bam and, like, other Flintstones characters down into Ray and Debra.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're looking at. Yeah. But yeah, then after Ray walks in with the medicine vomit thing shirt, we have
better.
That Debra is feeling much better, which is great. Good for Debra. And they're having a conversation, and they get a phone call from none other than Paul Terry, a.k.a. Terry Bradshaw himself, saying, hey, listen, my flight's been delayed. You seem like a cool dude. Come on, let's do an interview and come to the airport. Let's do an interview. Let's see what we can do. And Ray says no. Like an asshole.
All right. I wanna hear from both of you. Why was this a bad call?
This was a bad call for, first of all, just a financial reason, right? I think that we agree that it was sensible for Ray to be concerned about his interview with Terry Bradshaw while the kids and everybody were being sick. Completely understandable. The mistake was that he should have called Terry and been like, hey, listen, buddy, my kids are sick. Is there any way I could take a rain check or go to you in Pittsburgh or whatever?
Yeah. Instead of just saying no.
Yeah, or blindsiding him at a pediatrician's office.
Yeah.
That's what he should have done. But now Terry Bradshaw is calling him at a time when his wife is feeling a little bit better, could possibly look after the kids for an hour or so as he goes to the airport, does the interview, and get back.
It's almost certain that Marie and Frank are still downstairs.
Sure, absolutely true as well. Yeah, it's a different situation. And also, I will repeat, if he just says, give me a rain check, I'll catch you in X city on X date.
Yeah. It's a
Amazing.
point earlier in the doctor's office that he's on the road all the time.
Yeah.
There will be another opportunity to speak with this man.
But Ray literally just says, no thank you, goodbye.
Yeah, and hangs up because he wants to be a good dad. And Debra understandably is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Stop it.
You want to be
Call
a
him
good
back.
dad. Like, your job is to make the money.
Yeah.
The money.
That's
To
why
make
you
it the
don't know
money.
anything about your kids. Now, he's not going to know anything about his kids and not also make any money.
But and here's the hand-waving part. Because it's like, Ray did genuinely feel bad about, like, being an absentee father earlier in the episode. But now we're getting some apologia, some apologia. I never know if I'm saying that word right because I only ever see it written.
I've never heard the word before, so you know what?
From Debra about how, no, it's okay because you're making the money.
Yeah.
You can be a bad dad if you make the money. That makes you a good dad.
When I first saw this scene, it felt to me as if it was like directed at dads who felt bad that they were never around.
Yeah.
Or maybe the writers just needed to get something off their chest.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, obviously, if you are a parent and you work full time because, you know, we need money, it makes sense. You have to work. You still need to, you know, make an effort to know at least a little more about your kids than what I think Ray does.
Yeah,
But also, I'm not a parent.
Go ahead, Mikey.
I was just going to say, I did like the point of just like, listen, you're not perfect, but you're trying your best, which I think that's a good message because there is no parent on this planet that does things perfectly. They all try, or most of them try, but they don't always succeed, which I did think that was a good portion of it. What I didn't like was that it was the hand wave of just, like as Schneider said, if you bring home the check, then everything else is fair game. I didn't like that hand wave.
And it's almost, it's a little too much to apologize for because, again, like, we understand that just, like, particularly if, like, you're a single income household and you have a stay-at-home parent and a working parent, the relationship with the kids is going to be a little different. Sure. We, as childish 20-somethings, have to say, just like our hot takes on parenting.
I was gonna bring that up later, but absolutely.
But like it's gonna be different, you know. Like we've never been parents, but we've all been children.
Sure.
With parents, we know what our relationships to our parents were like. And I'm sure we, like, obviously, because we're different people, we all had different situations with our parents. And, like, if one works and one's at home, different thing. But, like, what we're kind of cutting Ray slack for is a little much. Like,
I agree.
You know your kid's doctor, dude. Like, this is a... Be able to tell the twins apart.
At least know where you keep the phone number for the doctor.
Yeah, like... It's a little much that we're apologizing for here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if it ended on a bit of a different note, if it ended on like at least a little bit of a call to action on Ray's part, of just like, you know, work harder when you are here / not on the road / home from work / stuff like that, that would be one thing. And I think we'd all be having a different takeaway from it.
Ray's score would probably be higher.
Sure, but it's also like, you do this, I do that, it's okay. I don't think that's a good setup. But that's, again, what do we know? None of us are kids, but we are in our 20s, which means we know everything. So,
None of us are parents, but we all have parents.
Exactly.
Speaking of parents, Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, yeah? How many kids does he have, Schneider?
Well, I do know that he has been married 4 times. And one of his daughters, Erin, is actually a championship show quarter horse rider. I don't know if that's the right language, but she's good with the horses.
She's an equestrian.
Whoa, cool.
Yes, and has won championships in that regard. And with respect to Terry's marriages, Paul's marriages, if you will, he cited his 3rd divorce in particular with exacerbating his struggles with anxiety and depression, which he has since come to talk about more openly, and is an advocate for greater access to mental health care services. So that's nice.
That is great.
One, Terry Bradshaw.
Thank you, Terry Bradshaw, for that.
The last little bit that I will say before we go to our hot close is that they kind of drop off the Terry Bradshaw conflict real quick.
Like, Ray doesn't call him back.
No, it's like Debra's freaking out, just like, go get the money. And then Ray's like, I want to be a dad.
And have sex with you.
And then, exactly. Yeah. We get another one for the horny counter. And then, but he also just leaves. There's no resolution. Yeah. He doesn't call Terry. He doesn't go to JFK. He doesn't do any of that.
There's the little tease in the, what is it, a cold closing? Like, what would it be called?
Hot
the post-credits scene. A hot close? Okay.
Hot close. Absent cold open. Hot close.
Okay. You said that with such confidence. I was like, yes, that's the industry.
To be clear, Schneider, that is something Adam made up and not something that is actually a thing.
Yeah, that's definitely not what it's called, but it's what we're calling it.
In the hot close, it kind of teases you with just like, I know we're both real busy people. You just have the shot on Ray, and he's like, we're both real busy people. I'm glad we finally found some time to do that. Of all the places you played, where was your favorite? Then we get the reverse shot, and it's Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
who's adorable, by the way. Just so cute. With in my room. I thought that was very, very, that was nice. Yeah.
But here's the thing I was saying earlier about laugh tracks versus live studio audiences, and why I thought it was a laugh track. And if it is indeed a live studio audience, I'm going to need some explanation here. One of my pet peeves with laugh tracks is that they're asking of you a certain suspension of disbelief, and there are moments in which kind of insults your intelligence, because the funny thing, the punchline, would have already been visible
to the studio audience.
That's a good point.
The reverse shot doesn't reveal Allie to the audience. They saw Allie the whole time. So for them, this isn't a joke. They knew the punchline before Ray even started talking. So why is there laughter for the reveal?
Again, I gotta say, it's probably either maybe they moved the no, they definitely. It was probably just held up the applause sign or the laugh sign.
Yeah. Lose your mind.
Yeah. Like that does bother me sometimes, though, because it's just like when somebody laughs at something that was clearly on stage the whole time. It's just like, okay, so now like you're asking me to buy into this idea that there are people there who are laughing, but you're like insulting my ability to suspend my disbelief, because you're just like, no, you're going to buy into this no matter what. It's like you're making it really hard because this doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like I had to do this within a pro wrestling context.
Yeah, I knew it was coming at least one point. Yeah, I knew it.
No, like you'll have people backstage discussing their dastardly plan to cheat, and this is only between me, you, and this cameraman standing right there. It's like, like come on! Like Impact Wrestling at least tried to kind of skirt around this by having cameramen clearly peek around corners with a handheld camera. There's an employee at Impact Wrestling who it's their whole job is to sneak around backstage and find people having conversations and film them. But at least they're gesturing towards this fact that no, our audience aren't dumb. They're gonna know, just wait, there's a camera right there. Why are you having this conversation? So same thing. It's like, you knew Allie was there, studio audience. Why'd you laugh?
Well, maybe the studio audience is dumb.
Case closed.
That's it.
Wow.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Schneider, she got wrecked.
Yeah.
Sentence.
Facts and logic.
Don't care about your feelings.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
That's what we call a stinger.
Yeah.
That's
going in the demo reel right there.
Right. So I think that wraps it up. And then we get the line about Ray asking Allie if mommy kisses the cable guy.
Oh,
yeah. Which is just a throwaway line to close the credits out. And I think that wraps up this episode. So there's only one more thing for us to discuss, and that is to fill out our Baronmeter. At the end of every episode, we like to rank.
You haven't said that all episode long. You've just been calling it the ratings.
No. I haven't called it to you, but if you listen back to all of our other episodes,
It's been the barometer.
I know it's been that, but you have not made me privy to that information at any point.
That's true. You explained everything else to Schneider except what it's called.
except for the barometer. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, we have the barometer here, and for those of us that might not be familiar, I'll quickly run it down. At the end of every episode, we rank Ray's performance as a husband, father, son, and brother.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing. These are this 10 is held aside for the great dads of sitcoms and television. Dads like Uncle Phil and Danny Tanner. And on the flip side, we have the
Piccolo.
ones. We have Piccolo?
Yeah, great sitcom dad, Piccolo.
Oh, okay, sure, Piccolo. Yeah, from Dragon Ball Z. I didn't piece that. My mind went to the instrument. That shows how much of a non-weeb I am. On the flip side, we have the most awful dads. We have Walter White. We have Don Draper, men that actively do harm to their family. And we're gonna place our rankings for Ray this episode season 1, episode 13 of Everybody Loves Raymond, on this scale. And Schneider, since you're our guest, do you want to chime in first today?
Yeah, but before I do that, Terry Bradshaw.
How many Terry Bradshaw facts did you bring with you today, Schneider?
3 that you spoiled one by mentioning his country music albums.
Oh, sorry.
So I had to. Yeah, damn you, Michael, for ruining my. So I had to go and just that's why my light turned off, because I had to take my phone off of its stand to look up another Terry Bradshaw fact real quick, which is how I got to think about his daughter and his mental health advocacy. And I also made up the thing about his name being Paul. That's totally not true.
That's not true?
Wow, Mike, you believe
damn,
that.
I bought that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I came with 3 facts, 1 bullshit, and then had to pull one out of the hat real quick to just keep the bit well paced, the spacing.
Sure.
Of course.
There's no more facts. I just needed to come clean about his name not being Paul.
His name is actually Terrence Bradshaw, probably. Gotcha.
No, it's Terry. Now, this one's not bullshit, I promise you. His
Are you
legal
sure?
name is Terry.
Terry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Legal
I will
name
believe
is
you
Terry
because
Paxton Bradshaw.
I'm not going to learn from my mistakes. I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to believe you. All right, cool.
So, I'm going to go ahead and give Ray here. You know what? This might be a little controversial on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I hate half ratings, and I'm kind of stuck in a space in my head right now, and I don't.
We do 0.5s all the time.
I don't want. That's the easy way out, though. I don't want to do that. I'm still going to give him a 7, and I can explain.
Ooh.
I can explain.
Please do.
Please do.
Explain.
Go deep.
Do y'all want to go around first, or should I explain?
No,
explain your logic.
So here's where I'm coming at. Because obviously we're not bumping up to the real upper echelon of dadhood here.
Not at all.
Because he didn't deliver. But there is an active, self-conscious recognition of his shortcomings and innate desire to try to improve that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is sabotaged by other characters who gaslight him into thinking it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want that to count against Ray. Ray had the right instinct, and he deserves credit for that. Not too much credit, because obviously still didn't deliver. But he had the right instinct, and I want to give him credit for that. If only the other characters, namely Debra, but I don't want to poo-poo on Debra, because she's generally a very good character, but just kind of hand-waved away all the things he was feeling bad about, he should have felt bad about them. And he did the right thing by feeling bad about them and trying to do the right thing by calling off his meeting with Terrence Bradshaw. I just called him Terrence, even though I just told you the true fact that his name is not Terrence, it is Terry Paxton.
It is Terry. Okay, cool. All right, interesting take. Do you want to go next, Alex, or should I?
Why not? I'll go
Okay.
next. So this is very interesting. So first of all, I agree with you, Schneider, that I think Debra kind of like giving him like the, oh, it's okay that you don't know a lot about your kids speech is kind of strange, because in the past she's had this exact like reasonable complaint with Ray, where it's like, you do not take too much of enough interest in our kids' lives, and you don't know enough about them. And the fact that here she kind of like 180s on that, maybe that's because she thought that's what he needed to hear. I'm not sure. So I think overall this episode gets really muddy for me because of the Terry Bradshaw stuff, because thanks to Mike and Schneider as well, I understand what a huge opportunity this is for Ray. Like, this is a career-defining moment that could help Ray earn like a lot of money, that could help them move maybe a little bit further away from where they really are. Maybe to like the other side of Lynbrook.
Because they're physically incapable of leaving.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct.
No,
it's like
yeah.
the Twilight Zone.
No, there's a wall around Lynbrook that prevents everybody from leaving.
Yeah, it's like the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Debra has incentive for Ray to make as much money as possible. But obviously, I don't think she was being unreasonable when she was like, you're going to have to help out today because I am sick and the kids are sick. That part's fine. I am upset with Ray being super, like, not cool in the beginning about, like he shows no concern for his wife.
Yeah.
Definitely not in the beginning. Complains about his breakfast. Complains kind of about, like, oh, this is going to suck for me. Calling his mom, I don't think was a particularly bad move on a normal day, but he knows how Debra feels about her. But I think in this scenario, it was probably one of the better moves he could have made. Again, should have just called Terry and just rescheduled. I'm sure that would have been no issue. But again, episodes got to happen.
Yeah. Needs to be conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what you were saying about the end of the episode, Schneider, I thought was interesting. How like Ray tried to make amends for kind of what he realized. Like he had an arc where he started out kind of like a dick. He realized that he doesn't know enough about his kids, and he makes the big gesture at the end to try and show that he wants to change. But I don't think, as far as Ray goes, this like the big gesture is not enough. You have to be consistent. Other lines from BoJack Horseman. And I don't think, and maybe because of other characters, that Ray took away enough in this episode. Okay. I don't feel comfortable leaving him with average, so I'm gonna make Schneider upset and go to my 0.5s. I'm gonna do 4.5.
Okay,
Mike.
I am also going to commit a Cardinal Schneider sin, and I'm going to go with a 5.5 because I think Schneider's point about it being him showing guilt and recognizing, this isn't how a parent should act, is good. It's a step in the right direction, which, as we are all aware, will be wiped clean immediately after the credits.
In episode 14.
Exactly. Everything is going to go back to square run almost instantly. So I am not going to give him, but you're right. We do have that pseudo kind of discussion about what is good and what is bad parenting. And he does he tries to do the best of both worlds, right? He tries to be the dad that works and also is there for his kids, even though that second part happens incredibly reluctantly, which is why I'm not giving him a 6 or a 7 or anything like that. But also, like you said, Schneider, I don't think it comes from a place of, my kids suck. I think that he does love the kids and actually try. I just don't think he's as successful as he needs to be. I can't, I can't give him points for an almost turnaround when the entire doctor's visit was, hey, do you know this important thing about your kids? You know, like I can't in good conscience call him a good dad after he did that. So even a 5.5 is generous and I'm almost regretting it, but you know what? I'm sticking with it, damn it. 5.5.
You know what? I think, Mike, you kind of changed my mind a little bit.
Oh, no.
And Schneider as well. Just the way you guys have talked about it. And from kind of how we've discussed about the barometer in the past, I often go to like 5 being like average, but on truth, like 7 is like good dad.
A decent dad.
Like regular good dad. I'm going to bump him up to a 5.
Okay.
Because of how he recognizes and tries to correct, even if I don't think he did it correctly.
So would you say that 7 is baseline good dad and 5 is average Ray performance? So Ray
I would
is
say
on average a slightly less than good dad.
So if we're saying like 10 is being the best dad possible and 1 is being you should probably go to jail,
Like actually abusive.
like actually abusive, problematic, and actively causing harm to your family, then I think that I'm going to be optimistic and say that the majority of dads that care about their families and actively work and stuff are probably on an average day rank around a 7. And then 5 is literally as much good as you are putting out bad, you know, like neutral anything. And then below that is you goofing.
Ray.
Exactly.
Below 7 is subpar dad.
Below 7 is subpar dad. Below 5 is subpar Ray. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
7 is above average Ray, though.
Yes, very above average. I think we've only had 3 episodes where he's broken to 7. But that puts our average Baronmeter rating for this episode as a 5.8.
No, it doesn't.
3?
Because there's a postscript Adam that has to give us his rating. And we will not know that until the episode comes out.
That's
so,
right.
Adam, why don't you give us your rating and tell us the average?
Right now.
All right.
I didn't watch it. Let's just say 5. The average is 5.6.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for bailing Billy Joel out of jail. All right. Well, listen.
It's a long story.
Billy, after the second time he crashed through the
I
penthouse.
don't need any explanation.
Okay, cool. Just the LPD didn't take great to him. But anyway, okay. So that about wraps up for this episode. So that all that's left for us to do is to, first of all, thank you all for listening so much. Please make sure that you support the sponsors listed earlier in the episode at postfun.info/ads. That is postfun.info/ads.
And thank you, Schneider.
Yes.
For coming on.
Thank you so much, Schneider, for helping us out today.
Do you want to plug anything?
Follow me on the Twitter machine. I can't decide whether or not I want to be funny or full of political rage, so it kind of just turns into both.
Awesome.
Cheeky Bigfoot.
It's an amazing Twitter handle.
That is a great Twitter
handle. It's a great Twitter handle. All right.
If you can't remember that, literally just search my full legal name, I said.
You've heard it on the show multiple times.
And we will also be doxing Schneider in the description. So just leave all your information there.
For somebody that cares about information security, I'm being quite haphazard with my information.
Well, you post your full legal name and social security number on Twitter on a daily basis.
Yeah, my bio is my social security number.
Right, but you did it using DuckDuckGo, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
And also,
VPN on.
And at least here, Schneider, don't worry. Anyone who's coming here just wants a daily dose of Ray and nothing else.
Daily dose of Ray, that's it. All right, so all that's left to do is our classic sign-off. Actually, so sidebar, Adam, you know the deal. Take this out later. The way this works is typically we go around the room saying everybody loves Raymond, and then all together we say, and we love you.
I love that.
But because we have a guest, you're just going to say the everybody loves Raymond, and then we'll all say, and we love you together. Okay?
I mean, we have 3 people.
We do.
I mean, do we dare?
Do we dare?
Adam will not be happy.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. All right, and all that's left to do is our classic sign-off. Everybody
loves
Raymond.
And we love
you. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Goodbye.